organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
As the hours count down, I'll be here to give you a preview of how the IMU will transform to host one of the biggest events of the year next.
And find out how war veterans are tapping into their artistic sides.
And in sports, a new development regarding former women's field hockey coach Tracy Griesbaum.
All of this and more coming up.
This is Daily Iowan TV.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley.
UI President Sally Mason said today she doesn't want another set of Hawkeyes. At the Board of Regents meeting today, Mason said the deal with AIB would no longer be a merger with the UI, but a regional Regent Center. Mason also encouraged the two other Regent universities to work with the UI on the center. Last week, we told you about the initial plans the UI had with AIB, which would have made the Des Moines-based business school part of the University of Iowa.
After Iowa City faced its own snowpocalypse last Sunday, residents are wondering why some roads are still swamped with slush. City officials responded on Facebook yesterday saying when the combination of rain and heavy wet snow froze from this weekend's storm, it then glued itself to the pavement. Now we showed you students trekking through piles of slush on Tuesday, but officials say they can't remove it immediately because it contains the salt they want to melt the rest of the snow. We'll throw it over to Katie Seitz in the weather studio to see if conditions today and tomorrow could clear up the roads.
Thanks, guys. I was outside earlier today, and though it was pretty bitter out, that sunshine did its work and melted quite a bit of that leftover snow and slush, helping to clear up some roads and sidewalks. Tomorrow will be quite a bit warmer than today. We'll see about 20 degrees in the morning, upper 20s in the afternoon, and mid-20s in the evening. Stay tuned for your extended forecasts coming up.
And emergency crew members are also battling the bitter cold today. They're waiting for flames to burn out from a train derailment in Dubuque County. Officials said 15 cars went off the track yesterday around 11 a.m., with 14 carrying ethanol. Multiple cars started on fire, but so far no injuries have been reported. The derailment happened 10 miles north of Dubuque. The Department of Transportation proposed new rules last year that would phase out these types of trains in the next couple of years. That is because they have a high risk of catching fire.
With Valentine's Day on its way, the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics has good news for your heart. The Iowa State Board of Regents approved a request from the UIHC to purchase the Iowa City Heart Center. This means the UIHC patients now have access to 4 cardiologists from the center housed in Mercy Medical Plaza. The arrangement cost the university nearly $2 million.
It's hard to believe, but Dance Marathon 21 is finally here this weekend. Students have been working hard for the kids all year long, and reporter Katie Sextro shows us what we can expect when 7 p.m. rolls around tomorrow night.
It doesn't look like much now, but tomorrow night, this empty ballroom will have transformed into a dance club. The room will be filled with students dancing the night away and shouting FTK, doing all this for the kids. Last year's Dance Marathon was a huge success with over $1,800,000 raised. Neeti Patel, the Public Relations Chair for Dance Marathon 21, has high hopes for this year.
We've had one of the highest registration ratings in our Dance Marathon history. So we've had 2,500 dancers register, which is an extremely high amount. And then this year we will also be hosting over 1,000 family members, and that's one of the highest numbers. And then a lot of volunteers that come in, and then there's always the 200 plus leadership team. So we're expecting a really good turnout this year, and I'm excited to see how everything turns out.
The event will kick off at 7 p.m. Friday night and end at 7 p.m. Saturday. There will be activity rooms, crafts, headliners such as Iowa Intersection and Brooks Wieland, family speakers, and of course lots of dancing for participants to enjoy at Dance Marathon 21. Reporting from the IMU, Katie Sextro, Daily Iowan TV.
But luckily, dancers will be escaping the cold this weekend.
We'll toss it over to Katie Stites, standing by in the weather studio to get a look at the rest of the week. Katie?
Thanks, guys. More of that snow you see outside should disappear as we get slightly warmer weather heading our way. Here's a look at your extended forecast. This weekend will feel like summer compared to today, with a high around 30 tomorrow and a high of 40 on Saturday. That mild weather will continue into next week until Tuesday, where we may see periods of light freezing rain in the evening, and Wednesday will be the start of another chill, as we'll see the temps dip under 10 degrees. So enjoy the slightly warm weather while you can. Nick and Greta, back to you.
Downtown Iowa City might get some European flair in the near future. Following months of interviews, the Iowa City Art Review panel selected London's Cecil Ballman as their artist of choice for a signature art piece in the pedestrian mall. If approved, the city Ballman will work with the city to design a public art piece for the planned Blackhawk Mini Park near East Washington Street. The artwork is part of Iowa City's larger downtown streetscape plan to liven up the pedestrian mall. The project is scheduled to begin next year. And now for all things Iowa City art, we'll toss it over to Megan Sanchez.
Thanks, Nick. Welcome to your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV, Arts and Entertainment. Tonight, Hanter had a special guest, an Army veteran who started the Combat Paper Project to promote war activism. Greta Miley went out to check it out.
To the untrained eye, this might just look like a bottle of cleaning solution, but it's actually one step in an ancient process to make paper by hand. War veteran Drew Cameron transformed this craft into a nationwide art project.
Because war and the effects of war occur all around the country and have for a very long time. This is a way for us, in whatever tiny way, to come together and dialogue about those various perspectives and those various relationships.
In these paper-making workshops, veterans turn their uniforms into paper as a way to express their military experience.
So we take the material, we cut it apart, and then we use a Hollander beater to beat it into a pulp. Water is the vehicle for this whole process. That rendered pulp, then, we can form into sheets of paper, one at a time, by hand, using a tool called a mold and deckle. Then that formed sheet is cooched onto a felt and printed on in this pulp printing process that we employ. Paper is then pressed and then hung to dry.
I laced up my apron and decided to try it out myself. And my attempt was a success. Associate Professor Timothy Barrett, who led the class, said he believes the art generated from these workshops not only impacts veterans, but those around them as well.
No art or craft will persist into the future unless it's made relevant to the present moment. And these guys have done this.
Cameron's time at Iowa will end tomorrow. He will tour all over the country with combat paper-making workshops throughout 2015.
Thanks, Greta. Make sure to check out the full story in today's 80-hour section of the Daily Iowan. That's all I have for you tonight. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue will have a different look this year. The magazine is making history by featuring their first ever plus-size swimsuit model. And they couldn't wait to give fans a sneak peek of the size 14 Nebraska native. Ashley Graham took to social media saying, quote, "Secrets out, so honored to be the face of #curves in bikinis." The ad is a part of the new Swimsuits for All campaign that aims to encourage women to embrace their curves. You can pick up the issue when it hits stands Monday.
And we have a big development in sports tonight in the ongoing controversy over the firing of the University of Iowa women's field hockey coach last summer.
Now Daily Iowan sports directors Jalen Socek and Chelsea Brown are here with news of a new lawsuit filed by a number of former field hockey players.
Thanks, guys, and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio.
Before we get to Thursday night's Mat Side coverage, there's new information out regarding former women's field hockey coach Tracy Griesbaum.
4 members of the women's field hockey team have decided to take matters into their own hands as they filed a Title IX complaint against the university.
The 4 athletes' complaint alleges that the firing of their former coach was a result of a gender-biased pattern of firings that have occurred over the last 5 years. They state that the coaching methods, complaints by athletes, investigation regarding coaches, and coaching standards are handled differently in regards to male and females.
From here, the complaint will be turned over to the branch of the U.S. Department of Education for further investigation.
The Iowa wrestling team faces another big challenge this weekend as the top-ranked Hawkeye Grapplers will travel east to face the Terrapins of Maryland on Friday and the 5th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions on Sunday. Wrestling reporter Zach Mackey has more.
This weekend, it's 2 opponents for the Hawkeyes as they travel out east to take on newcomers to the Big Ten, Maryland, and then head out to University Park, Pennsylvania. The Hawkeyes are 11-0, just the 4th time under head coach Tom Brantz as the squad has got a perfect start. The Penn State duel has eyes drawn to it, but Coach Brand says the squad can't look past Maryland.
Maryland is first, and we can't overlook them. But, you know, you have maybe one eye on it right now, but when we get in the plane and end up in College Park, Maryland, we got to be ready for Maryland, and then when we're done with them, then we travel to State College and get ready for Penn State. But maybe right now this week we have an eye on them, just because I think that's what you do, especially in it's combined in the same weekend. It's a Friday-Sunday weekend.
Maryland is currently 5-12 overall and winless in the Big Ten. Bobby Telford will be one of 2 Hawkeyes to go up against a ranked opponent when in Maryland, but he is looking forward to getting near his old stomping grounds in Pennsylvania.
There's a personal tie with their coach in the state of Iowa. There's some personal ties with their team and us and me and everybody else. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's Big Ten wrestling. That's why you don't go to some little school that wants you bad. That's why you come to Iowa or in the Big Ten, because you want to compete against these guys week in and week out.
The Hawkeyes are 4-0 on the road this year and hope to keep this going, as Penn State is 10-2 overall and 6-2 in Big Ten play. This duel is expected to break attendance records for collegiate wrestling.
2 years in a row, they could set the attendance record, and that's a tribute to their fans and their program and what their fans think of their program. I don't know if we're glad to be a part of it, but I know that it's another test on the road.
With a sweep this weekend, Iowa will clinch at least a share of the Big Ten Conference regular season title for the 7th time in the last 8 years. Zach Mackey, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Thanks, Zach. And 2 Hawkeye wrestlers in particular, along with their fiery coach, enjoy the task of crashing parties on the road. The Hawks will look to redeem themselves against Cale Sanderson's squad after a home loss just a season ago. The team is preparing for yet another hostile environment this weekend.
Like Minnesota, every time we step on the mat, they're saying our names, they're booing us. I like that. It feels good.
And loud boos were heard throughout the night from Gopher fans as the Hawkeyes racked up another victory last weekend. Coach Tom Brand's crew has proved to be some of the toughest road warriors this season, enjoying the hostile environments.
I mean, me and Telford were talking about the other day, some guys don't like going on the road. They don't like that environment, but guys like me and him, we love it. We're the bad guys, and we get to play the bad guy role when we go on the road.
The Hawkeyes have taken on the role as the bad guys, currently at 4-0 on the road this year, with all 4 wins against ranked opponents. Up first, they beat number 23 ranked Rutgers 27-9, following number 7 ranked Big Ten opponent Ohio State, putting a beating on number 8 ranked Oklahoma State in Stillwater, and claimed their number 1 seed, beating out the number 2 ranked Golden Gophers in Minnesota. And Coach Brand agrees that that is exactly what the team is supposed to do.
When you have big matches at home, that's a great thing. You want to put on a show for your fans and flex your muscles in the national scene. And when you go on the road, you want to, put on a show for their fans and flex your muscles on the national scene. And they're both very satisfying when you have success.
Maryland and Penn State will be the last duels on the road for Iowa before returning to Carver Hawkeye Arena, and senior Bobby Telford wants to continue the road victory mayhem.
It's not our house. Go out there, trash it, leave it in shambles, and go back to our house where it's nice, clean bed, and go to sleep.
And what I think Bobby Telford is trying to say, Jalen, is that you make the bed you lie in, and the Hawkeyes have zero intentions on ending their undefeated record.
But be sure to tune in on Sunday night's show, as we'll have more updates from this weekend's wrestling meets, as well as a look at men and women's basketball teams.
And that'll do it for us here in the sports studio tonight. Greta and Nick, back to you guys at the desk.
And before we go, a new confession could cost one NBC anchor his job. Brian Williams has repeatedly said he was in the helicopter that was shot down during the Iraq War, but now he's taking it all back. This revelation comes after veterans writing on Facebook challenged his story, which he retold on air last Friday.
Williams then apologized, admitting after 12 years of a foggy memory that he actually was in the helicopter behind the one that was hit. Now viewers are questioning if Williams can ever survive from this controversy, especially as the face of NBC News.
Well, that'll do it for us here at Daily Iowan TV.
Make sure to catch us again on Sunday night at 9 p.m. for the latest news.
Or catch us anytime online at dailyiowan.com. I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.